Is it really so far-fetched to wonder if Elon Musk will one day take the reins of the Social Security Administration? The world's richest man, a person who's never been elected to anything. Well, he's got a knack for injecting himself into situations and then blowing them up. And no, I'm not just talking about his complete makeover of the U.S. space industry or his utter dominance of electrical vehicle manufacturing. I'm talking about his recent foray into the U.S. government. And in his first real exercise of raw power, Musk dove headfirst into the bipartisan deal to fund the government, and then he blew it up, and he blew it up because, according to his tweets, the deal didn't meet his idea of a super fair and simple spending bill. So could targeting the Social Security program, could that be next for Musk? If there's one government agency that I think we would all agree desperately needs help or at least restructuring, it's the system that over 70 million Americans rely on every month for retirement, disability, and survivor benefits. This financially challenged program, well, it's been limping along, plodding along for years, and it seems like it's just waiting for the other shoe to drop. But despite all the challenges this program faces, it's doing better. It's doing better in some ways than the Medicare and Medicaid programs, which the Department of Health and Human Services estimated paid out $100 billion in improper payments last year. But hey, that's another story, and it's something I'll address down the road. For now, could Musk, the man whose often stated desire is to ensure the long-term survival of humanity by conquering Mars, could he one day turn his attention to solving the looming insolvency crisis that's facing Social Security? Well, don't be surprised if he tries. After all, he's not shy about throwing his weight or his tweets around. That bipartisan spending bill, the bill he helped torpedo, well, he helped sink it with a barrage of 92 tweets he fired off in about a 24-hour period. And would it really be a stretch to see Musk replacing Carolyn Colvin, the current acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration? You know, Colvin stepped in after Martin O'Malley, the former administrator, after he jumped ship last November to chase the chairmanship of the Democratic National Committee in 2025. Now, maybe you're thinking, no way Elon takes a starring role in the Social Security show. Well, if not Elon, then who? I mean, at this point, could we do any worse? Congress has been blindly driving the Social Security bus towards insolvency for years. And now, during what is probably the most ominous time in the program's history, key posts at the Social Security Administration, well, they're vacant. Last I checked, the deputy commissioner role, the person second in command at the Social Security Administration, well, that position is empty. The deputy chief of staff role is empty, and the counselor to the commissioner role also empty. And these are three critical positions with no one at the helm. And at a time when every hand should be on deck, it seems those folks grabbed the lifeboats and they bailed. Is it really that far-fetched to think that the man with the biggest wallet, and maybe the biggest ego, is it that far-fetched to think on a whim he wouldn't jump at the chance to save one of the highest-profile programs in the federal government? He'd get the credit, he'd get the headlines, and he'd certainly get the legacy. With his antics over the years, and especially during the last election cycle, it's becoming clear to me, that Musk sees himself as a savior. And that savior complex, well, it might just extend to the Social Security Administration. Now, whatever you think of Elon Musk, white knight, egomaniac, mad genius, or whimsical billionaire, by the time the inauguration dust settles in Washington, don't be surprised if this one-man band becomes a new maestro of the Social Security Administration. Well, this is usually the time when I ask for your comments, your thoughts, which I would like to get, by the way. But I also ask you to subscribe to Over 50 TV. And then I also jump over to talking about my Side Hustle Rules YouTube channel, where I give you tips on how to earn more money. But this time, what I want to do, today what I'd like to do, is I'd like to address some of the comments, just a few comments that I received from some of my viewers here at Over 50 TV. I get sometimes hundreds a week, and some of them are common comments, so I thought I'd address them here publicly. It says here, the thought of retirement makes me cry. My apologies to everyone who's retired and filing Social Security during this time after putting in all those years of work just to lose everything to a problem you never imagined to happen. And it's so difficult for people who are retired and have no savings to fall back on. Well, I do get this kind of a comment frequently, and I want to say almost daily. Folks will tell me the same thing, that the situation, happened to them. They don't have any savings, and now they're struggling, and they're trying to make it on whatever the amount of Social Security that they get every single month. And maybe if they're lucky, they also have a little part-time gig, which brings in some cash, and I'm hoping that's the case. But I get this a lot. And one thing that I do want to say about this kind of a comment and address this is I definitely understand this. Certainly, I can tell you that there are folks that I know who can identify with what you're saying, people that I know personally who are in similar situations. And what I say all the time, what I really implore is to consider, if you don't have a part-time job, then get a part-time job. But one thing, too, that I think we can all do, and I think a lot of us don't want to do this, is we don't want to learn a new skill, a new marketable skill. And there are things that you can do, especially online anymore, that you can learn. So if you find yourself in a situation where, you're on Social Security and through no fault of your own, you have no income, no savings, well, consider trying to find yourself a part-time job, or better yet, try to learn a skill, a marketable skill. And if you're learning it online, if you're working it online, you know what? You can do it. It's a lot easier to do, but that's my recommendation. So now it says, hey, Lou. Hi, Lou. I'm hitting my full retirement age in March of 2025. Does that mean that effective January 1st, that my FRA, which is full retirement, does that mean that'll be extended into July, August 2025? And I pulled this up here especially because I get a lot of folks who ask me technical questions. I'll consider technical questions. They want financial advice, and I always hesitate. I don't hesitate. I don't give it. And I don't give it because I don't know your situation. Whether or not I know the answer or not, a lot of times I do, or at least I know where to get the answer. But I don't want to give financial advice. It wouldn't be fair to you, and I don't want that responsibility. So if you're thinking about asking me about particular things, and like this is a fairly simple question, well, I still would prefer not to answer it. So please don't be offended if I say to you, hey, you know what, I just can't answer that question, and I don't give financial advice. I'm trying to explain that it's just not something I feel comfortable doing. So let me get to the next one here. Next one here, it says, comfortable retiree here. Mortgage and debt-free, able to live on my Social Security and still save money. It took some big lifestyle changes and delayed gratification. Thank God you're in that situation, and I am so happy for you that you are. And there are quite a few folks on Over 50 TV who watch my program here who tell me they are in similar situations. They're doing well. Occasionally, though, I do get someone who says, I'm in this great situation, and it's your fault out there. If you haven't done what I've done, it's your fault, and you're the only one to blame. And don't whine and don't cry. And I get too many of those. But what those folks don't understand, and you can hate me for telling you this, but you don't understand the real world. You don't understand that things happen. There could be a grandmother, a woman, a retired woman, 50s or 60s, who's got a son who something happens to them, and now that person, that senior, has to raise those grandkids because there's nobody else to do it. And that happens. It's not her fault that she's got to dig into her savings. It's not her fault that she can barely make ends meet, but she's not going to let those kids starve, and she's not going to throw them out into the street. Things happen to folks. Sometimes you lose your job. I've got a woman who just wrote me, her husband died of cancer, and now she doesn't have that money, that extra money she was counting on. $50, what a joke. Now, this person is responding to the new COLA for 2025. And it is a joke. And I've said this multiple times here. It's a joke. $50, and when you subtract the Medicare payment a lot of us are paying, you subtract that, now you're talking in the 20s if you're lucky. I mean, come on. $50, it's a joke. I agree with you. And probably hundreds of people have said the same thing in so many words. You said it very succinctly, and I'm glad that you did, and it's very true. It's a freaking joke that we get $50. Anyways, that's all I got for you. If you got any questions, please submit them in the comment section. Don't forget, as I mentioned previously, don't forget to subscribe to Over 50 TV if you want more information. Also, I do have side hustle rules. You can apply to that or subscribe to that. Then I do have an email that I send out. It's a breaking news email. If you want it, there's a link in the description box. Get on that list and you get news as it happens. Well, as I always say, have a great day, everybody, and thanks for watching.